Hi everyone and welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of Mighty Moron with me, the United City FM. Welcome along, and to be honest, this season is going to be quite a challenge. I hope we've got enough about us not to get relegated, but it's going to be tricky. It's been very inconsistent so far. In today's episode though, we get one of the top sides in the division currently, all boys to play in the Primera B Nacional. So let's get into the episode. So I definitely wasn't lying. It's been very, very inconsistent. That's the problem. We've got a couple of wins, a few draws, a couple of losses since the last time you and I were together in the last episode. And it's proving tricky this season. I feel like we've lost the momentum of whatever we gained last season a little bit. And we're having to refine our feet a little bit in a slightly new division. A couple of extra teams in there. And obviously it's been, there's different teams drawn in it this time round as well, because it gets randomly drawn, it feels like, every season. So it just means that this run of results has not quite been as good as I wanted it to be. Last time you and I were together was against Estudiante BA and we lost 2-0. We got a draw against the first of our two San Martin teams, San Juan. And we got a 1-1 draw there and then a 1-0 win against the second of our San Martin teams, which was good. But then we lost a couple of games in a row and never looked like being in either, to be honest. It was just a really tricky couple of games. The problem that we've had all the way through this season is a lack of goal scoring. We then had 2 0-0 draws against Platense and Nueva Chicago. And that's just still not good enough. We then got, in the last game that we played though, we did get a 1-0 win thanks for Good Boy getting on the score sheet after 71 minutes. But you can see it's just not good enough. It's not consistent enough to be doing anything in this particular division. So if we go back to the home page just briefly, you can see this is the problem. Our top scorer for this season, considering we are 8 games in to a domestic league campaign, we've got 3 players on 1 goal, and that is our top scorer so far this season. It's been so poor in front of goal. Defensively, it's been a challenge as well. I mean, you can see that most of the time we've kept them down. But there's a couple of, there's a 3-0 and a 2-0 and a 2-0. So occasionally we get caught out. But most of the time, defensively, we're doing all right. It's just we can't buy a goal in any way, shape or form. If we go and have a look in our squad and go to our main goal scorer, cherry on top, no goals, 7 games. It's just not good enough. His direct backup, Galliano, hasn't scored either. Lavezzi hasn't got a chance yet, but is coming very soon because we can't afford to go for too much longer without getting a few goals. I was hoping for a little bit more this season, specifically from Cherry on top. He did pretty well for us last season. It wasn't terrible by any stretch. He got 10 in 28. So, you know, I'd expect him to have scored at least 1 by now and got off to at least a start in the league. But it just hasn't happened. The highest average rating, Tomas Federico, our holding midfield player, 6.99. So we're not even in the 7s for an average rating. 1 assist from the Angel is the top most assists. The best pass completion is at 93% from Federico again. So he's doing okay in that respect. But it's just not quite good enough. It's not quite going how I wanted it to. So we are going to have to make a couple of changes. But they're not big changes at the moment, but big changes will come if we can't turn this around. And today, just so you know, we've got old boys in the Primera B Nacional, and they're sitting in 2nd place. At the moment, we are sitting in 12th, which isn't terrible. That's perfectly okay. It's outside of these relegation potential positions. So I'm happy with that. Pretty much anything above 13th I will take this season because, again, we are due to finish down the bottom. But we have to find a way to turn some of our draws into wins and some of our losses into draws, really, and just get a few more points on the board as early as we can just so we're not causing ourselves problems later in the season. So the intention is to try and do as well as we can against all boys, but then look at the games after that and just see that there's some winnable games in here. The next one that we'll come back for hopefully will be more winnable in terms of where the two teams are placed next episode. So come back for that and we'll see what we can do there as well. But today we don't have any choice. We've got to play all the teams twice, home and away. And today is the opportunity to play at home against one of the top sides in all boys. So let's get into the tactics page and see what changes we've made. So the changes may not be immediately obvious to some, but basically it's in our mentality that we're changing it. We've been playing attacking since we were halfway through last season and so far advanced in what we were expecting to be. We chucked it up into the attacking and sometimes the all-out attack just to see if we could force our way onto the opposition a little bit more and continue our good run of form. And primarily it worked for us most of last season because we finished mid-table in the end, and that was fantastic. This season, to start the season, it hasn't worked at all though. You've seen the inconsistent form. So what we've had to do is reshape that slightly. We've gone back to balance just to settle down the play a little bit, be a little bit less gung-ho. We're also going to go in and we are going to change this particular bit. We're going to drop the defensive line slightly and drop the attacking line slightly and make ourselves slightly less vulnerable to the counter-attack, which we've been caught out on a number of times recently. And then we look at the personnel, and there's a couple of interesting things, one of which I've forgotten to tell you so far, is that we have made another signing on a free transfer, but we can't register him yet, and it's this guy, Axel Ochoa. And he comes in as a left full-back option, and the reason for that is, one, he's very good, and whenever we can register him, it will be fantastic because I think he's possibly as good as we've got. But two, you can see that Sanchez is unhappy already. One of our new signings from over the summer is now unhappy and causing all sorts of problems. He's unhappy because I failed in his eyes to improve the squad. The simple reality was, though, he was one of the improvements and he doesn't count himself as that, so he's now unhappy apparently. It's just one of those complicated things. If you don't pay attention to the contracts you're offering out, sometimes a little clause slips through, and basically one that says I was going to improve the squad didn't materialise for him, so he's now unhappy. If he stays that way, eventually we're going to get rid of him because it'll be a disruptive influence, and that's why I bought another option in. If he doesn't stay unhappy, eventually it might be Olivier that goes, just because I think that the other two might be slightly better, possibly. So that's the first thing to tell you about. And the second thing about the team that we're putting out today is that we are making some changes in the first team 11. And what we're doing is putting in the players that so far this season have got the best average ratings in the games that they've played so far. So, for example, you can see that Corzo has come out of the side because Dordone has got a better average rating than him, having played a few games. And that's the case through the side. Chalky, our youngster, is getting a game. This is one of my Patreons who's become a Patreon at the tier to get himself in the game. So he's going to get a game today. Now, he's not the finished article by any stretch, but Clanvitter is not playing well this season. He's got a 6.67 average rating, and that's not good enough. Cherry on top keeps his position for now, but Lavezzi comes onto the substitute bench instead of Galliano, and just see if he can get a few minutes at some point and begin to find a goal from somewhere, because Cherry on top hasn't done that so far this season. So all of the changes that have been made out of the starting lineup that we usually play have basically been because the players coming out are not playing as well as the players coming in. That's the intention. So we're going to put out the best performing 11 as much as we can. We're going to change up this mentality a little bit to balanced, less attacking, less vulnerable, and hopefully we'll get a couple of good performances over the next few weeks. Now, I don't necessarily expect that today. We are playing one of the better sides in the division. It could be tough for us. But coming up in the next few weeks, I hope that this particular setup will begin to get the points. But today, we do have all boys. We are at home, which is positive. So let's check out the team for today. We have Galvin in goal, Gomez and Dordoni in central defence with Brogy at right back, Sanchez at left back, Federico, Chalky and Goodboy in central midfield with the Angel and Glabby supporting Cherry on top in the striking position with a bench of Corzo, Gozzarino, Gayer, Cranvita, Basidas, Villalba and Lavezzi. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. Go out there and give these fans their money's worth is what I've gone for the team talk. Didn't get a great response as you would expect because morale is a little bit below par just at the moment, but hopefully it's stuck in the back of their heads and they can actually put on a display that's worthy of the fans today and see if we can hang with all boys as much as is possible and stay in the game for as long as we can. So far in this particular half, it's not been very exciting at all, but that suits us down to the ground. But it's all boys with the first highlighted attack. We get a good block though. That was positive defending, and then Glabby comes back in the defensive area and clears the ball, but Cherry on top isn't quite where he booted the ball up to, and eventually it's all boys that regain possession and they come back at us again. But the defensive shape hopefully will be slightly more sound and harder to get through than it has been in recent weeks with the attacking play that we've been playing. And again, they're attacking us though, this time down their right hand side, and they've made it all the way to the byline. The cross comes into the far post. Is there an offside there in the 6-yard box? If there isn't, it's a 1-0 lead for all boys. But I just thought that the back post header from where the cross came in maybe have found a striker in offside position. Let's have a look at this. So it's down the right hand side. Eventually there the cross comes in and there's the header, and it wasn't, was it? I don't think it was. I think he was onside. And again the defence was just asleep and not reacting to the balls as I would expect them to. It's Cherry on top for us though, from a throw-in, goes into the centre of midfield where we have the bulk of our players, so they can hopefully keep the ball in this position, but they get in each other's way a little bit, and we're a bit lucky to come out with the ball on that occasion, but it was Cherry on top that managed to keep it. Glabby on the ball at the top of the box, drops it back to Goodboy. The Angel plays a 1-through, oh lovely ball through, and it's Cherry on top, finally gets on the score sheet for the season. It was a lovely 1-2 just at the top of the box in the midfield area, I think from Goodboy and the Angel. There's Glabby on the ball here, drops it back to Goodboy. There's the 1-2, and it opens up the space very nicely, and Cherry on top runs through on goal and makes no mistake this time round, which is fantastic. We need him to start scoring goals. If he's not going to do it, then he's going to lose his position very, very quickly from this point onwards. And we go 1-1, and can we get through to the end of the first half at 1-1 or even better? Long free kick comes in, but it was easy for the goalkeeper to come out and claim that with no major problems. Bit disappointing that we didn't keep the possession a little bit better there, but we've gained it again. They booted it clear from the goal kick, and it just went straight into our defensive area, but we've gone too long too early, and Cherry on top lost out in the fight for that particular ball. And again, it's all boys with a potential to now counter-attack on us, but again our shape is good. We've got back into the setup that we have defensively, and we're getting men behind the ball, which is positive, and we're making them work hard to pass the ball through us. They go round the outside, down the right-hand side on this occasion, and the header at the near post goes over the top of the bar. We're a little bit fortunate on that occasion because there was plenty of space on that near post for the header to come in, and he couldn't quite direct it properly. But we do go in at 1-1 at half time. Now, looking at the match stats, it's kind of interesting reading. We are far in advance on the possession, which is much better for us, but we are far, far down on the shots created specifically. They've had 8, we've had 2, but the 2 that we have had have been on target, so that's a positive. Swings and roundabouts, isn't it? You've got to take the positive where you can find them, whilst understanding that we are not the finished article by any stretch, and we've got a long way to go to properly challenge some of these teams in the Primera B Nacional. So on this occasion, we can calmly say, let's say I'm happy with your performance, keep it up. We need to find some positivity in this group of players somehow, so we'll go straight back out into the second half. You can see there's no reason to change anybody just at the moment. There's a couple of low ratings there specifically from Glabby, so he might have to come off later in the game. but it's been very, very quiet again. 65 minutes in, no highlights of the second half so far. We've made it to 70, and we're going to have to change something, but there's a highlight just starting. So we're going to wait for the highlight to play out, and then we'll make our changes. Unfortunately, it's all boys on the ball right the way down near our penalty box on the throw-in, and they hit the woodwork with a very, very strong header. But eventually it comes out, and now we can make our changes, and you can see that we've got some that are low in conditioning that we need to look at. We've also still got a couple that are not doing particularly brilliantly today. So Glabby is the first one I'm going to take out, and we'll bring Villalba in, and then we're going to take out some of these lesser conditioned players. So Federico can stay in. He's playing well, so is Good Boy. So it's going to be the Angel that comes out for Bisidas, and then we are going to take Cherry on Top off and protect him a little bit and give a few minutes to Lavezzi and see if he can stake a claim for being on the bench at least a bit more regularly than he has been so far this season. He's a little bit more seasoned than Galliano is, so hopefully the chance presents himself and he can take it. But again, it's all boys with the highlight, and they approach down the left-hand side. There's a poor cleared header, and it goes straight to an attacking player down the right. But again, we're very, very lucky to win it back. But then we give it back straight away, and Galvin finally manages to come good in goal and turn the ball away for a corner kick. But the pressure is still on from the corner kick, goes to the near post, and then the header over the top. And we can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief on that one. Look at the state of the All Boys side, though. Some low conditioning and some uninterested players. Is this a chance for us to have one last bite at them in the remaining seconds of this game? Good Boy with the ball through, but it's not good enough. The clearance, though, comes out to Sanchez, and we can reinvent the attacking play again into midfield for Chalky. Good Boy takes over. Back out left to Sanchez. You can see the Angel does drop out left a little bit and help out on that area when we need him to. But he's also able to drop into midfield as well and help out there. So it's a good position to have. Chalky with a great ball through from Villalba. And Villalba has the goalkeeper in his sights, and he boots it straight at him. But we're keeping on the pressure. They're struggling to get it clear. And then they do. And it looks like we're going to get a 1-1 draw. There was a few moments there at the end where I thought we might nick it, but ultimately it's not a bad result really, considering the inconsistent form that we've had, and considering that All Boys are currently in second place in the league and we were down in 12th. That is a performance I can happily take. You see that Good Boy was the star of the show with an assist. He got an 8.2 average rating, 7 for Federico, 7.1 for Cherry on Top. Much, much more like it. So I think this is the way we're going to go for a little while, just in that slightly more balanced approach. But let's go and check out where we've won and lost this particular match when we analyse the performance. So it's interesting again, isn't it, that even though the instruction is very, very much to play down the right-hand side, you can see our heat map drifts it further to the left side, and this is continuing to happen. I just guess ultimately we're not good enough to fulfill what I'm asking them to do, but it's a little bit disappointing that we can't work in the area where I've got the personnel and I really want it to work. So we're going to have to continue to work on that one and see how we can reshape that. If you've got any ideas, let me know, because it's a little bit baffling just at the moment. But overall, you can see much more of the ball in this kind of area, which is positive. Much more of our work going forward than All Boys had. We had much more of the possession, which is great for where we've been recently. The possession area was mostly in midfield, as you would expect it to be. But look at this. This is very interesting. It's what I said last episode. If we try and play it down the right-hand side, at least at a minimum, if the ball isn't accurate enough for that right-hand side, it will drift into the middle. And mostly it looks like where that's being played, but on the heat map it looks far more left-hand side than anything to me. But that's just maybe me misinterpreting the data a little bit. But we got a good performance from Good Boy. Not quite from Glabby, which is unfortunate. He had a chance and he didn't quite take it. If we move down into the match stats, you can see we had much more of the play, which I'm really happy about. We've been giving up possession for the last several matches, really, and it was about time to get our foot on the ball and try and claim that a little bit more. In terms of shots created, though, we got 1 goal today, but the same issue stands from where we've been in the recent times. We're not creating enough chances. They've created 14 and 6 on target. We only created 3, but 3 on target. So the ratio of on target is good, but not the creation, and that's something we still have to work out a little bit. And again, it goes to, where is this ball finding itself? Mostly in this attacking position, and maybe it's not quite in the area we want it to be. I have to continue to work on that. If we continue on, though, let's go down to the teams and look at these shots, and look at the off-target shots. And again, for us today, this was pretty good. We only had a couple that didn't quite challenge the goalkeeper, really. So I'm more than happy with that, considering where we've been recently. If we just look at our 2, look at that. They were both saved shots, so they were both on target, as would be suggested in the match statistics for the day. It was just unfortunate the goalkeeper obviously was there for it. But what I'd have loved to have seen was 3 or 4 more in and around this box, peppering the goal a little bit more, trying to get a better result through that. So we've still got work to do in our shooting department. In the passing department, it's the intercepted passes are still quite high, aren't they? I'd quite like a little bit more consistency in finding our own players. And then the out of play are better, though. These, at one point at the beginning of last season, these were flying out of the pitch all over the place, and so I think that's been a little bit better this time round, so I'm happier with that. But it really is. Let's just go and check in with our crosses, our completed crosses. We didn't have any completed. The intercepted ones today is a problem. You can see that they came in from all angles and were intercepted. And it's something, again, that we've got to find a way to be more consistent with, especially down this right-hand side, because we've got that double axis of a fullback and a right-sided winger down this right-hand side. We've got to get better crosses in, and that's part of where we're creating issues for ourselves, that the crosses are not finding the opportunities for people like Cherry on top, because they're not making it past the defenders. There's a lot to work on here still. I think we've got a lot of work that's going to take a long time to figure out how to get the best out of this 11. But what we found last season was, as the season progressed and they became more used to playing together as a team, these sorts of things improved as we went along. So I'm hoping for the same again this season. But overall, it's not too bad, is it? And if we just take out the all boys shots, you can see that we had a couple that were saved and we had the 1 goal. It's good in terms of its conversion rate, but not good enough in terms of the creation, and that's where we need to improve. And that's why we only got a 1-1 draw at home, even though it was against a very good side in the division, which I'm still reasonably happy about. So we're going to the team talk, and just say today calmly, you were unlucky. Leave it there. Who switched off? Galvin, the goalkeeper. Okay, that's disappointing, but I believe what I said. I thought we were a little bit unlucky. We had a couple of decent attempts at goal. But we'll leave it there for today, and we'll move on and see what that's done for our league position. It's dropped us down 1, but look at this group of teams from the team below us in 14th right the way up to the team in 8th. There's only 3 points separating us all, so there's lots to play for. We need those points. We need to get on the scoring sheet a lot more than we are, and try and create a bit of a gap between us and the 14th position, and see if we can stay in this division again. So that's the plan moving forward. Let's go through the news feed and just see what happens. We hold out for a draw. Cherry on top ends his goal drought. He was just not doing it before today, was he? And Good Boy was on good form, which was fantastic to see. He's a decent player at this level for us, and we need him to be more consistent. So there we go, that's the game for today. Before we go and end this episode though, let's check in what we're going to be doing for next episode. So back in on the schedule page, and what we're going to come back for is the Almagro game in the sort of latter part of October. Currently they're sitting, I think, in and around the relegation area. So I wanted to come back and see if we could find a team to play that was going to give us a good chance of winning on one of these episodes. I wouldn't want to play just the big boys all the way through and continually lose on these episodes if I can help it. It sort of keeps my morale going, really, for creating the episodes, if we can find a win here and there. So it's Almagro next for us. In between time, there's half a dozen Primera B Nacional Group A games. So hopefully by the time we come back for that match, our league position will be slightly better than it is, and maybe we'll have scored a few goals. Come and join me for the next episode, find that out, see how we get on in the next fixture that we play. Until then, though, thank you for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button for me. Helps me get seen by loads of other people if you can do that. If you want to go and check out my Patreon or my merchandise store, the links to those are both in the description below, so go and check those out. Until next time, though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.